You see her, or perhaps you knew her, a specter in the architecture of your life. She is compelling, magnetic, a vortex of potential. You engage. You offer what you believe is your value, your attention, your resources, your time, a piece of your sanity. And it is accepted. For a night, for a series of nights. There is intensity, a proximity that feels like intimacy. You begin to map a future onto her silhouette. Then the withdrawal, the cold, polite distance, the haunting realization that you are not a chapter, but a footnote. You are not a destination, but a momentary detour. You are left with a profound, corrosive emptiness, a transaction that depleted your soul's treasury and returned nothing of lasting value. And you ask the forbidden question, what did I miss? The modern world tells you your pain is irrational, that you are possessive, insecure, toxic. It pathologizes your male urge for depth and exclusivity. It tells you to celebrate her freedom, even as it atomizes your own sense of purpose and connection. This cognitive dissonance is the poison. You feel the ancient, biological betrayal, but you are armed only with modern, political platitudes. The dissonance is killing you from the inside. It is getting worse because we have severed behavior from consequence, action from meaning. We live in an era of infinite options and zero obligations. The marketplace of human connection has been corrupted into a carnival of fleeting sensations. You are not navigating relationships. You are competing in a psychological Hunger Games where the rules are written in invisible ink. In this video, we will dissect the archetypal machinery behind female promiscuity and casual sex. We will strip away the ideological veneer and look at the cold, biological bedrock. We will examine the shadow that our culture refuses to name. This is not a moral condemnation. It is a map of a dangerous territory. Ignorance of this map is why you are lost. Forget the fairy tales. Forget the romantic novels. At the level of the gene, at the level of the deep ancestral psyche, we are not dealing with soulmates. We are dealing with strategies. Understand the fundamental asymmetry. The male biological imperative is, at its root, scarcity of opportunity. A man can, in theory, father 1,000 children with minimal investment. His imperative is to disperse his seed, to find opportunity. His risk is rejection. The female biological imperative is scarcity of resources. Her gametes are limited. Her biological investment, 9 months of pregnancy, years of lactation, is colossal, life-defining. Her risk is catastrophic. Therefore, her evolutionary strategy is not about quantity, but about extreme quality filtration. This is the engine of hypergamy. It is not a social construct. It is a law of biological economics. Hypergamy is the drive to secure the best possible genetic material and the best possible provisioning and protection for her offspring. These are the two tracks. In our ancestral past, they were often bundled in a single high-status male. But the strategy has a time dimension and a testing protocol. This is where our modern narrative collapses. We see promiscuity and mistakenly call it male-style liberation. It is not. It is often a high-intensity, high-resolution screening process. A woman who engages in multiple short-term partners is not operating outside her biological imperative. She is executing it with brutal precision. She is sampling. She is conducting field research on genetic quality, on behavioral traits, on social capital. She is building an internal, comparative database. Each encounter is a probe. It answers a question. Is this one stronger? Smarter? More dominant? More charismatic? Does his presence trigger a deeper chemical response? The ancient, subterrestrial part of her psyche is asking, if the world collapsed tomorrow, would this man build a shelter or become a predator? Casual sex, in this light, is not an abandonment of selectivity. It is selectivity weaponized, accelerated, and stripped of social constraint. It is the biological marketplace in its most raw and efficient form. The romance and the connection you feel are not lies precisely. They are the evolved hooks, the necessary mechanisms to facilitate this profound evaluation. But for her, the evaluation may be complete far sooner than it is for you. You are left holding the empty vessel of a concluded experiment. This is the hard, stoic truth. When you engage in the casual arena, you are not stepping outside of nature. You are stepping into its most ancient courtroom. You are being judged by criteria older than civilization. You are not a boyfriend. You are a data point. To understand this is to see the raw wiring beneath the social performance. It is to see the archetype of the eternal selector, the feminine principle that must, by biological necessity, separate the wheat from the chaff with a ruthless hand. Your pain begins when you mistake this ancient, judicial process for a modern contract of mutual building. You believed you were sharing an experience. You were, in fact, undergoing an audit, so we have the ancient machinery, a hypergamous impulse designed for a world of tangible tribes, limited choices, and severe consequences. Now place that same machinery into the modern condition. The result is not liberation. It is a psychological cage of unparalleled sophistication. The environment for which this circuitry evolved is gone. There is no tribe to enforce accountability, no elder to provide wisdom, no tangible status hierarchy based on strength or wisdom. Instead, we have constructed a digital phantom realm, a supernormal stimulus for the selector's psyche. Consider the dating app. It is not a meeting place. It is a Skinner box for the hypergamous instinct. It presents an illusion of infinite potential, an endless carousel of faces, bodies, and curated lives. This triggers what we might call the phantom archive of options. Why commit to a present, flawed, tangible man when a potentially better one, taller, wealthier, wittier, might be one swipe away? The biological impulse to trade up, which in a natural setting would be constrained by geography and social reality, is now given cosmic scope. It creates a state of permanent, low-grade dissatisfaction, a paralysis of choice. The selector becomes lost in her own archive, forever comparing the man in front of her to the phantom legion in her pocket. Worse, this environment inverts the consequence structure. In the ancestral world, a woman's sexual choices were embedded in a web of social reputation and long-term survival risk. Today, the modern narrative, the ideological veneer, systematically strips away these consequences. It labels the natural social feedback, reputation, judgment, the pursuit of committed provisioning as slut-shaming or patriarchal control. It severs the act from any long-term meaning, packaging it as empowerment and autonomy. But the biology does not vanish. It simply goes underground, into the shadow. The emotional consequences, the oxidative stress of repeated pair bonding attachments being severed, the erosion of trust, the deep, subconscious tally of transient encounters, they accumulate in the dark. They manifest as cynicism, as an inability to pair bond later, as a hardened, defensive persona. Society cheers the behavior, but offers no salve for the psychic wound it creates. It is a terrible, silent bait-and-switch. This is amplified by the corporate consumer paradigm. You are told you are a strong, independent woman. And this is true in an economic sense. But the deeper narrative sold to you is that you can have the strategy of a man, the sexual consumption without cost, while retaining the psychobiology of a woman. This is the great lie. It tells you to act against your own deepest wiring and calls it freedom. It convinces you to use your sexuality not for its evolutionary end, selection for a high-quality, committed partner, but as a tool for transient validation, a balm for boredom, or a performance for peer approval. You are encouraged to exploit your own biological power in a way that ultimately drains its meaning and leaves you isolated at the center of a hall of mirrors. The man, meanwhile, is trapped in a different hell. He is told to celebrate this liberation, to suppress his innate drive for exclusivity and depth, his own biological imperative for certainty of paternity and a stable family unit, as fragility. He is running a gauntlet, not for a prize, but for the temporary privilege of becoming another data point in the phantom archive. His worth is reduced to a disposable utility in someone else's endless, digitally mediated audit. Thus, the modern trap is complete. Two ancient archetypes, pushed by biology to seek each other for a profound purpose, are instead pit against one another in a meaningless, consequence-free marketplace. The woman becomes a perpetual selector in a desert of options, her instincts hijacked by phantom choices. The man becomes a perpetual contestant in a game where the trophy is borrowed and the rules change in the night. Both are left with the hollow echoes of a transaction, starved of the substance that our souls, forged over millennia, actually crave: meaning, sacrifice, and enduring responsibility.